I recently did some great work in my rock garden all along here, but now it's time to continue that work and head all the way down to the greenhouse path. So I have to keep mulching, dividing, planting, all of the fun spring things. Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. My garden is located in growing zone 8B and I am in southeastern North Carolina. Let me show you where I started in the rock garden and where we are going today and what tasks we are going to do while we're in the area for today. Starting all the way at the end of the rock garden, it's actually quite easy to see how we're going to be continuing on here because our path is essentially straight. So our rock garden still is filling out beautifully, color is coming, the wisteria is still popping out with foliage, and the blooms are just beginning to open up here. So as all that good stuff is happening, I want to get a lot of the cleaning and maintenance done down below so that everything looks awesome all at one time. And the last bit of work, like the final step, is always adding the mulch on top. So it gives you that finished layer on top of everything and kind of cover over all those blemishes that we might make. So essentially here at the Dipladenia-ish is where I ended the rock garden work last time. And then I have this little bunch of peonies, I shouldn't even call it little because it's big and amazing, is all budded up. So that's going to be very cool very soon. So what I want to finish doing is, first of all, you see a really large like arc there. I want to pull that out more and have it not go in that severely because it makes mowing very hard to try to turn this corner. The other thing that's going on over here is this is the ham and eggs lantana, which while it looks small now, it's a perennial style lantana and it's going to be so big and bushy. And you can actually see where it was covering part of the grass last year. So the grass is brown here. It really comes out very far. So I want to make sure I'm actually pulling the flower bed out that distance so we can, not have that problem with mowing. But a really cool thing that's happening with the lantana that I didn't expect to happen. See this little green bunch right here? This actually looks like it rooted separately somehow. I didn't know you could propagate lantana by burying a stem like you can with hydrangeas. So this was new to me. I am going to actually dig this out and see if I have roots underneath. And if I do, I will be dividing that up and moving that piece out to my garden that I like to call the Island of Misfit Toys. Besides that, I do have a mix of irises that are popping up in here along with daylilies because the daylilies just keep multiplying year after year, which is a great aspect of them, but it kind of mixes things up a little bit. Here we have a daylily popping up inside my sedum, so I want to be able to separate that. Further back here, we got that gross weed that comes on with the thorns, and I can see it's mixing in with my purple heart and back there. That one's annoying to pull out because of its thorns, so I'll see if I feel like working on that aspect of things today. And then back here, two things that don't look like anything right now. I have Mexican bush sage here first, which is just starting to get a couple of little sprouts to it. Not a whole lot is happening with it right now, but that's going to get very tall, very purple, and gorgeous. And then next to it is the Mexican petunias, which coincidentally are also purple. Once I see a little bit more growth happening on, well, actually probably both of them, I'm going to do some dividing up there and share the purple love in other spots of the yard. I always like it when gardeners take a step back and give us an overview, like a wider angle of the space, so we really have an understanding of it. So that's where we are, and here's more of where we're headed. So this is the pathway to the greenhouse, obviously. Now we have lots of weeds coming in here quickly, and they're always very difficult for me to handle because I don't like to use any pesticides at all. So I'm either gonna have to dig some or burn some or whatever with the weeds that are in there. Over on this side, These are the arborvitaes. These are just the emerald green, not green giant, so they are not overly fast growers. Here's something I like to point out to you every year that you should be checking for on your arborvitaes, and it is bagworms. Make sure you check your arborvitaes or your evergreens in general for bagworms, because you want to remove them before an infestation starts. And I've shown you like the nastiness that is inside of these before, so I will be looking through my trees to see if I have any more of those. I can see one dangling right here, so I'm going to grab it while I see it. And you want to discard these away from your trees. This is not going to be where they are. That's just where I'm setting them right now. That's something to look for. Then I want to go ahead and freshen up all the mulch in here, hence my bags being all laid out, and have this space start to look more beautiful. Now the greenhouse is emptying out, but I still have a lot of my beautiful plants right outside of it that are going to have to find some homes. And right here by the pool is where I've already begun to pot up and plant up some of these guys that needed to find homes that had been in the greenhouse. So this is our bougainvillea. These are begonias and bromeliads. And then we just planted this pot up with the diplodenia, coleus, and sweet potato vines. So these are all things that I've had, and then more and more comes out to fill this space. And then of course more diplodenia / mandevilla inside that waterfall, and the bougainvillea pots on each side. Just pointing those out because they had been overwintering in the greenhouse space right there, and this is all where we're going to be working today. The first thing I want to do is actually look and see if I have roots on my little ham and eggs lantana down here before I clip it and separate it from the parent plant, because it's possible that it's just kind of tucked down below and maybe it didn't root. See how far back I can go. I can see I have some arborvitae roots in here. This is so mysterious. I know I'm shadowing over here, but hopefully you can still see it just fine. It actually has like a long stem into the soil. So as I said, I didn't realize that I could have a piece of my lantana root like this. I thought you had to like separate the entire root bulb of the parent plant in order to propagate. But I'm thrilled with this because this root is very long, and then we have another piece off of this side as well. So I'm certainly going to replant this in a different garden, and I'm just gonna put this guy all back to bed, the original parent plant back to bed, so that it continues its amazing growth. So yay, a new ham and eggs lantana. I have definitely talked about dividing up your sod pieces and just flipping them over instead of shaking out all the dirt or whatever. I find it to be easier a lot of times, especially if you can get a full block of sod to flip. And no, I have experimented many times at this point, and I do not have the roots of the grass growing up from upside down. I don't have that problem. So I'm just laying down some more soil here because I want to raise this up a little bit higher. And now I'm ready to dig right in here and grab that piece of daylily out of here. So I'm actually going to take the full scoop of the sedum as well, because I don't know how else I'd be able to divide that up nicely. And it looks like I'm only getting sedum because the lily is underneath this rock. Let's see how heavy this rock is. Can I move it? The answer is yes. And actually, that makes life a lot easier because now I could just remove the lily like that and I don't have to dig this whole thing up. Now to the back, I'm gonna just do my best to get rid of that thorny vine, thorny, yeah, all of it. It shoots root runners under the ground, so it starts to spread. So let me just see what I can do without getting hurt since I am wearing shorts today. And this is actually growing right up against the fence behind my little blocker. I am pulling it up with roots here, but of course, because it's a weed, I'm sure half the roots are still under there and it's just gonna come back to make my life miserable another time. Let's see if I can get this big one. Same thing, got some roots. I've been chasing the dollar weed all winter, so I feel like it's a little more under control right now at this stage of the game, but it is certainly not going to stay that way because dollar weed is vicious and aggressive and grows aggressively. I'm just taking up full handfuls over here. All right, we're gonna get that for now. And these daylilies are getting so huge, and they're taking up a part that's here. I'm going to largely leave the lilies, but I'm going to just see if I can get some of these that are right behind the lantana without messing up the roots of the lantana. So let's see. Okay, good. We got full roots on the lily. It's not even all that hot out today, but it has gotten very hot working. Okay, so I did have to sacrifice a couple of the lilies because I didn't want to dig my shovel down too deep and break up the roots of the lantana. And so I thought that was just more trouble than it was going to be worth. But I did end up getting a very nice bunch of lilies with a great root system. So this can be planted somewhere else too, probably also in the Island of Misfit Toys, which in case you don't know is the place where I plant things that I've divided up and they don't really have another place to go just yet, or maybe free plants, etc. They all go out into that garden. So I think I'm gonna do this and that lantana, but first I'm gonna lay down some mulch right in this area so I can feel like I've gotten a little further along in a straight line. All right, so of course this is not going to be final placement on these pots that I just put in here, but they were all things that were coming out of the greenhouse anyway, and I put some things in here, A, to take up some of the room that we have here now in the front, but B, to also give us a little bit of balance in our rock garden. And two things are making me feel that way. One, where are you? I can barely see in the sun. This banana tree that I put over here with the red rimmed leaves. And then of course I said I popped other things in here like these begonias and stuff to give us reds and pink tones throughout. Well, I had 2 of those banana trees, so I put the other one over here for now. And again, these are not going to stay here. I will be putting them into bigger pots because they need to live in pots. I'll have to overwinter them indoors. But I think they're going to get too big for these spaces. So at least temporarily, we're going to enjoy the banana tree foliage. And then all these pots were from the greenhouse as well. And then this diplodenia is just here to kind of mirror this one. But I do have a plan for this guy. So again, we're just temporarily filling in our spaces. But what I did decide is going to stay permanently is I'm going to bring out one of these Kalanchoe plants that I had gotten from my friend's yard. She had hers actually planted right into the ground, and I was able to dig them up, divide them up. I'm going to put this somewhere over here at the start of the greenhouse path, maybe in front of this rock, so it doesn't interfere with the lantana when the lantana gets so huge. But I think that would be pretty cool. It likes full sun. It gets red rims around its foliage when it is in the sun. So I think that will be awesome. And then I just got to basically finish cleaning this pathway up, but that's going to wait for another time. Isn't it amazing how you always think you're going to have more time than you do to do a project, because you kind of underestimate how long things might take. But hey, you know my favorite quote, and I say it all the time for us gardeners: little by little, a little becomes a lot. So only do what you can do. Get done what you can. The rest will be here waiting for when you can get back to it again. I know these mulch bags aren't going anywhere, so they will be waiting for me until I can get back to them. Hope you guys found some inspiration or maybe learned something today. Until next time, happy planting.